Hey there. This is a review for our Shadowdark Duchy of Ashlar campaign, session number 4. Um, we picked up. They had rested. There was a place that's actually specifically named in the adventure within the Iron Wolf keep where they can rest. They can hole up and rest. It's on the second floor of the donjon. It's an old meeting room, but it's securable. So they rested there. Um, And during that rest, Guy, the party cleric, pays penance because he had lost a spell in the previous session. So he pays it was like 5 gold and gets his spell back over his rest. They descend. They decide that they're going to go down to through the secret stairwell that they had found that led into the hallway with the demon door at the end. And so they go down there, and Guy boldly goes right in. He wants the 2 ever-burning torches that are on each side of the door. So he goes right in to try to take one of those. And when he does, he triggers a trap. And what happens is in this hallway where the stairs come down into it, right at that entrance, portcullis drops, trapping the entire party in this room. They try to figure out how to get out of this, and they're focused on the demon door. And Burren, the dwarven, one of the dwarven fighters, he's an archer-based fighter. He starts looking around at the mouth of this demon, and he can see like there's a little. He sees 2 things. He sees that there's like runes written on the demon's tongue. He doesn't know what they say. And at like the back of its throat, there's this like nub of stone that comes up. So he decides to poke that with one of his iron spikes. And he does so. And he the mouth closes and clamps down on the spike very hard. Like if it had been on his arm, he would have taken some pretty significant damage. So they kind of is stuck for what to do, I think, for a little bit. But they over time they go. We go through the whole party's actions, and the mouth opens, drops the spike, but they notice there's a little bit of flame in the mouth now, and then it shoots out this gout of fire that fills the hallway. And some of the party member, they make their saves, they don't take any damage, and those that do, I rolled really low for damage, so they didn't take too much. Again, it's Shadowdark, so they don't have a lot of hit points, so every little bit hurts, obviously. They end up forcing the portcullis doors back open. Combined effort. In the adventure, they had rules for breaking them down, like hit points and AC, but they didn't have anything about forcing them open, but I'm like, why not? So they rolled really well, and they were able to force them open, and then Burns spiked them open with some more of his iron spikes. They then decide, I think at this point, like they're like, we need to get more information. They were kind of really stymied by this door. So some of the party went back upstairs and they're looking through that room that they rested in because it was papers, and they don't find anything. They look in the master bedroom. There's nothing there. Some of them stay down here. Like they search it was the brief little map I drew on the battle mat. They're in this room here. Burns like checking these walls. He's looking for secret doors. He doesn't find any. And he, when they're coming back downstairs on the party, it was Guy. They found another secret door in the stairwell, and it leads into a room on the first floor of the donjon that they had already checked, but they didn't find the secret door beforehand. It was easier to spot from the backside. So they're messing around with that. They some of them, they're kind of split up all over the donjon now, and they A guy goes into the feast hall trying to find like any information off the tapestries. He doesn't. He passes by. He goes through this hallway to get back to the others, and they know there's a stairwell that goes down, another stairwell, and they haven't explored that at all. At its entrance, there was a door there once, but it's on the floor, and there's some goblin writing on the wall of the stairwell. He passes by that, but as he's doing so, he hears movement coming up from the stairwell, which he assumes might be more goblins because they had faced goblins in that hallway before. So he goes back to the rest of the party, tells them, hey, I think there's goblins coming. So the parties kind of get prepared for that. Sure enough, goblins end up coming down the stairs here. They come down the stairs, and the party makes pretty short work of them, killing most of them, and then one of them runs off, and they don't pursue him. They go back to messing with the door, trying to get it open, and while they're messing with it, they notice the flame has come back. So they're like, oh, crap, some of the guys run out. Everybody's ducking for cover. And instead of like a gout of flame coming out, a fire imp comes out, and they start to do battle with that. And there was not a bad little fight, and they ultimately defeat it. And at the end of it, they hear the door unlock. It had been locked the whole time. They had checked it and discovered that. So they go into the next room, which is this room right here. And it's this low ceiling, dusty chamber with these alcoves. And each alcove, except for the back one there, has a chest in it. But more importantly, and the first one in line is Pike, my buddy Steve's dwarven fighter. This skeletal serpent creature with a human fanged head raises up and starts dancing in front of him. So he... it tries to hypnotize him, doesn't work, ends up getting the NPC Jorben, though, hypnotized, and he was kind of out of it for the fight, standing in the doorway. Guy dragged him out of the doorway and sort of like slapping him around, trying to get him to come out of it, but wasn't able to. We used the description of, or I used the description of, is it Ka and Mowgli in the Jungle Book, like that whole thing. That's what he kind of looked like. So he's just kind of like, his eyes were all messed up, and he was hypnotized. But the party rushes in. Not too bad of a fight. They were a little alarmed because they had rolled a couple decent to hit rolls that missed. So they were like, thinking that this thing has a really good armor class, which it did. But ultimately, Burren actually finished it off with a critical hit with his bow, doing quite a bit of damage. They've been chipping away at it, and eventually defeat it. So they, as good treasure hunter adventurers that they are, they start looting the chests. Then they find one chest has a bunch of like 100-something gold pieces in it. Another one has a sword and shield in it that bear the Iron Wolf family crest. The shield has this snarling wolf on it, and the longsword's this very fine longsword, and it has on the cross piece a wolf's head. They found a spell book, which Endrick appreciated, and a bag of gems. So in Shadowdark, at least the way we've been doing it, in Shadowdark, there's no like identify spell, so we kind of don't belabor the point of them figuring out what the items can do. I guess if we were going to be a little more in depth with the role playing stuff, we could do that. But I just kind of, as it's more of like a dungeon crawling adventure game. That might not be the best description, but I just tell them what the items do. So the sword, once per day for 5 rounds, it ignites and with flame and does an extra die 4 damage, and also acts like a torch. So that's a pretty cool benefit. And ultimately, I think Burren wound up with the sword. Even though he's an archer, he took the sword. Nobody else was interested. Pike didn't want it because his weapon mastery was in Great Axe, so he wanted to stick with that. The shield has both a benefit and a curse on it. The benefit is that person is easier to stabilize if they go down. It's a DC 9 instead of 15, which is handy. And then the curse is that mounts fear the bearer of the shield, and they will not allow them to ride. So Guy ends up taking that. And then the spell book obviously goes to Endrick. He looks at it. It's got 2 first level spells and 2 second level spells. The first level spells are Charm Person and Hold Portal. And then second level is Invisibility and Mirror Image. So they take all that stuff and they decide to, but they don't find the map. They're still looking for the second map that Shaney had hired them to locate. And so they're like, well, they got quite a bit of, there was also, those items were worth a fair amount of XP as well. So they were like, all right, we're going to go back to Dulwich and do some carousing. So we got to do a group carousing, which is really the first time that's happened. We had a little bit before, but it was just the Endrick character was able to do it. So they do their carousing. They spent a decent amount of their gold on it. So they got I think it was a +2 bonus. So we went around the table, and Guy, his was, he earned an enemy rival crawler. Like they were at the inn and doing a test of skills, and Guy tricked him into losing. And when the crawler figured it out, he swore his revenge on Guy, and he got 5 extra XP for that. So Pike started a bar brawl at the end and was fined 10% of his wealth, and then he was banned for 1 week from the inn. But he got 3 extra XP for that. Endrick woke up in the gutter with 15% of his wealth spent, but he got 3 extra XP. And then Burren hazily donates 10% of his wealth to a priest ally. So this priest named Torgan is now Burren's ally. He can call upon him when he needs him. And he got 3 XP for that. They decided they were going to head back to the keep to find the second map. They decide as a group that, because they asked about Jorben, the NPC dwarf that they rescued, who had been adventuring with them. They asked about him, whether he was coming or going, and I left that up to them. It was up to them. If they wanted him to come, I would keep him in the thing, and if they didn't, we could set him aside, and he'd be in town and another ally. They've definitely earned his friendship. They rescued him from the being held by the bandits, and so he's an ally. Another ally they can call upon. And they opted to leave Jorben behind, so that's what they did. They head out, and no real troubles on the road. They start up the forest trail to Iron Wolf Keep, and I'm rolling random encounters the whole time. So I got these, the reason these are kind of in here, they're not just decoration. I got these dice recently, and they're silicone dice. They're really neat. I have horrible luck with dice, as any of my recaps will show, but these are kind of neat. I like how the letters the numbers are really bold and stuff. They rolled the D20, true to fashion, rolled like complete dog crap for me. I rolled like 4 5s in a row during combat and finally retired it and went and got some more dice. But the D6, I rolled probably, checking for random encounters, I probably was successful 90% of the time. Like it was just dropping ones 90% of the time. So the goblins they faced was a random encounter, and I rolled another random encounter, and geez, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so the goblins they faced in the keep were a random encounter, and then on the trail heading back in, I roll another random encounter. And I roll that in the forest section in the Shadowdark book, and it actually rolled goblins or kobolds, but I use goblins. So I roll up 2d6 worth of goblins. There's 6 goblins trying to set an ambush. I rolled a hide for them. Rolled horribly, so the party actually spots them. And we roll initiative. We roll initiative for the combat. And the battle ensues. And during the battle, half the goblins stay back and are shooting arrows. The other half run in and charge to get into melee, close range with everybody. During that battle, Guy was hit with an arrow very badly, and then he was followed up with a melee attack, and hit with that and drops to 0. And it goes round and round around the table. And before, Guy doesn't have a lot of time because he has a really horrible constitution. So at bare minimum, he gets 1 round and then he's dead. So sure enough, nobody can get to him because they're all occupied, right? They all have like goblins they're dealing with. And the one standing over Guy gets taken down by Burn with an arrow from the back of the neck, comes out his throat, and he drops, but it's not in time to save Guy. So Guy is no more. He dies. And that's our 4th character death in 4 sessions, and the 3rd character death from my buddy Matt. So he's definitely been running him through the ringer. So they end up ultimately beating the goblins. They don't have any treasure on them. They decide they're gonna make a burial cairn for Guy. And while they're doing that, I roll a random encounter. Bam, get a random encounter. Another 1 comes up. But this one though, like random encounters don't always have to be combat. So in the book, there's a woman that lives in a nearby tower. They talk about her a little bit. And in the adventure, she lives in the forest in a tower, the Tower of Kivutar, and she's this old woman, and she comes down the trail. She's got a basket in one hand and her cane in the other, and she's been collecting berries and herbs. And she sees the party and she starts talking to them, and they're a little banged up because almost everybody took a little bit of damage. Endrick took a bunch of damage. Thankfully, he was already 2nd level. I don't think he got 3rd level with carousing. Everybody got to 2nd level with their carousing. So she invites them back to her tower, and they're talking to her about the goblins, and she's like, oh, I'm not afraid of them. They don't come around me. They think my place is haunted and all this stuff. And as they're getting towards her tower, they can see that she has these hollowed out gourds hanging in the trees, and when the wind hits them, they make these eerie sounds and stuff. So it's kind of like an illusion. So they get of being haunted, and then they get closer to her tower. There's a little garden. The place is like overgrown though, like it's not. She doesn't do anything to keep the vines and moss off the sides of her stone tower. But they bring her in. She brings them in, makes them welcome, and actually gives Endrick, who's the worst off, a healing potion. We rolled up. In Shadowdark, they have this really great table. You can roll up like random descriptors for potions. So I like to use that. So I rolled that. It was like this swirling vortex of clear liquid. And when she pulled the top off of the cork top off of it, it started to bubble. And she's like, oh, drink this, drink this. So there's some jokes about it being Alka-Seltzer or something. And he drinks it and he gets healed. And I rolled randomly on the potion table for potency, and it was like 2d6. So he got all his hit points back, which was good. And then she just talks to him for a bit. They ask her about maps of the area, and specifically, I think they were looking for the Von Geeth map, the 2nd one. She says she doesn't have that. I mean, she's familiar with the legends of Von Geeth, but she's like she does make a comment that nobody's ever gone there really since the dragons were there. And that, I don't know if that went over the players' heads, but they didn't comment on that. So that's interesting. Maybe some of them watch this, so they'll see that. So that might be a good reminder. But she mentioned the dragons. She's a gracious host to all of them, talks about not ever really having company. And she has like this internal monologue that because she spends so much time alone, she verbally, oh, here comes my assistant, Maddie. She verbally speaks it out without knowing, but she focuses on Endrick and such. And at the end of it, when she go on, Maddie, go on. You don't need to scratch on that, knucklehead. She welcomes them back. They're welcome to come back, and specifically Endrick, she is focused on, and she gives a little display of like arcane power between her hands, and I described it Egg Shen in Big Trouble in Little China when he's showing the detective, you know, that magic is real. And they return to, they leave and return to Iron Wolf Keep. And at the keep, they can see a lot of goblin tracks in the courtyard. And that is where we ended the session. So it was a fun session. I think my favorite part was them interacting with Kivutar. I'm going to butcher that name over and over. But that was a lot of fun to play out. And they've made good, I mean, they put a pretty good dent in the exploration of the upper keep area here. They do know they have that other stairwell going down, and I think that's their intention to go down there next. I was really concerned about like this encounter here with the traps and all that stuff, and I wasn't sure how if they were going to survive all of that. But they did well. They did a good job. So, and my horrible dice rolling also helped them. So, yeah, that was session number 4. We're hopefully playing again next week. And I thank you all for watching. I'll catch you at the next one.